After I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I'd kind of gotten used to the different sound world, and I gotten used to the different pitch set worlds. Like, I kind of moved on from that, and I'd become accustomed to working with non-temper tunings, and I'd become accustomed to working with the sound as it was, instead of sort of thinking this is a bass, it should sound like a bass, or this is a string, it should sound like, getting rid of the sort of preconceptions about things and really learning to listen to them. I found I was a little disappointed by the sameness within the music, and by sameness I mean that it's reminded me of, I kind of been there, done that kind of aspects of music that, that as that curious kind of person, you really want to kind of get out of that, when you can. You go, ho hum, I know that's coming, And so, for me, and this is maybe the most fun thing that's happened in my life in music, is I broke away from playing in 4/4, as a default. And all of a sudden, this thing that had kind of been, I suppose, it's fair to say that I felt held back by music a little bit up until that time, that I felt like I wasn't getting really into sort of places of freedom that I wanted to feel that I was, and first off, I thought it was the sound that, to me, I was playing in bands then, and guitars, bass, drums, whatever, just has this sound, and it sounds like that, and you're kind of stuck with that, and it's, it's a little disappointing. So, that's kind of what got me wanting to build things in the first place. And so then I was building things, and, originally playing them in keys, or at least thinking, thinking in equal temperament, because that's what I lived in all my life. And I felt kind of bound by that as well. And that allowed me to kind of, having built things, letting me get out of those kind of, I don't know what you'd call them. I don't know, they're sort of paradigms, whatever. Getting kind of released from those paradigms of, timbre and pitch. I still felt kind of like, meh, I'm bound in with this. And I'm not sure I would have gotten to this without having done those two steps first. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at with this. And finally really addressing the elephant that had been in the room maybe all my musical life is this, the meter thing, that, man, after you get out of 4/4 for a while, you realize just how restrictive and how little you can do within it. And there's great people who've done great things that swings its ass off or gets sunk in the funk, that just, it's really cool. But that context is extremely restrictive, and I didn't realize until I broke out of it how restricted it had always been. I always blamed myself for when something wasn't interesting enough because, my technique wasn't good enough. If you can play 64th notes, you can get cooler syncopations than if you're playing 32nd notes or 16th notes, right? You can just keep breaking the stuff down and trying to get it. And, Um, and then like you start playing in like 17 and 13 and stuff like that, and you're so free. It's you do have to keep it in mind, and that's really difficult at first, or at least it was for me. It was all my defaults just kept trying to make a 17 into a 16 or a 13 into a 12 or whatever. You know, it's it's like, you know, I remember the first time I played something in 7. I was playing with somebody else, and I kept fucking up, right? So the guy I was playing with says, "Here, come on, count out that 7 for me." So I go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, you know, leaving that rest before the everyone and making it into an 8. Anyhow, so they're hard to get at first because all these habits of years of listening and playing, to just all this stuff that's in 4, you know, you just kind of go there, you know, and like if it's not 4, it's triplets or it's 3, you know, and so that's like the other thing. So you have this thing and the other thing. And when I stopped doing that, I kind of, you know, in the spring of '04, I just said, okay, I'm just not going to play in 4 anymore. I just not going to do it. It's, you know, and it was hard. And, you know, I had to kind of familiarize myself with these whole new set of defaults. And, but for me, that's kind of my favorite thing that I've done musically, and which I owe to this general experiment. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could ramble on about this for a really long time about all the details of it, but you know, as far as like, oh, I don't know whether you call it advice or suggestions to other musicians who are trying to do things, yeah, check that one out. Like break the 4, you know, break that thing, you know, bust that up, and like, you know, there's so much more in the world of meters than we're kind of prepared for by our educations, you know, either the direct ones where somebody's telling you or just what you hear, you know, with everything that you do. And to those who are interested in, you know, getting into some new territory and exploring new things, that's a good one. And it's really fun because the kind of things that you find yourself getting into are they feel very natural, at least to me. You know, it feels much more natural for me now to like, you know, kind of cruise in like 19, 17, 23 and stuff like that than it does to like play, you know, 4 bars of 4, which is, you know, yeah, if you improvise a lot, you know, it's like all about those 4 bars of 4. And it gets you out of, like, one of the ways to break out of that is, you know, and this happened in a lot of, you know, avant-garde experimental type situations I was in before that, that it would just kind of go in 1, and you'd really be playing in 4 just with really sloppy bar lines. This is kind of how it came out. You know, it kind of just get this, like, and playing in the more expanded ones, the longer ones, that still has shape and like that to it, but it's not just the same shape, and it's not just always the predictable shape, you know. And it is hard to do at first, or at least it was for me. It was, you know, but since I've gotten used to that, I haven't gotten bored with what I do in those. The same way I got bored with what I was doing in 4 and 3 also, you know. I think, yeah, I don't know. My 2 cents, right?